The event was the third round of the African Rally Championship, attracting a host of foreign crews, although it was Jamie White from Zimbabwe who held the advantage, having won the 2 opening rounds in Tanzania and Kenya. Lying second in the championship was Giancarlo Davite, but his plans to dislodge White was already on shaky ground.
We came here to win because we have to win for the championship, but we put a new gearbox and we have a problem now with the central diff. We looked after during 2 days, but we didn't find the problem, so I will drive without the central diff.
Every bit as important was the Uganda National Rally Championship, where the competition was expected to be fierce. This was the... At the drop of the flag, the rally was underway, heading for the first of 20 stages over 3 days of stiff competition. The Lubiri spectator stage in the grounds of the King of Uganda's palace must be one of the most spectacular that can be found anywhere in the world. It was standing room only on the embankment overlooking the 2-kilometer circuit, where over 20,000 enthusiastic rally fans waited patiently for the action to begin. And when it did, the cheering was deafening. For the drivers, the experience of performing in front of such a huge audience was daunting, especially as it was their skill the crowds were here to see, as well as their mistakes. With the formalities of day one behind them, the crews retired for the evening, leaving the city night life for another time. They were focused on what lay ahead, and early the following morning once again returned to their mounts. Day 2 would be the longest, covering 140 competitive kilometers split into 6 stages that were repeated twice. Stage 3 was the longest at 17 kilometers, with stages 5 and 7 short 5-kilometer sprints. All the stages were on narrow tracks best described as awkward and technical. Jamie White and Phil Arconol only had one goal: to be the quickest of the ARC contenders. They were fastest through 3 of the 6 stages on the first loop of the sections, edging out an overall lead of 2.5 minutes. They had not been driving on the limit and were surprised to be so far ahead this early on. Giancarlo Davite and Silver Wintervogel were driving hard, desperate not to let White get away. But the engine was down on power with low boost pressure. To compound this, they punctured and decided to continue rather than stop. But in the process, they bent an arm, forcing them to lose time in service. Despite this, they were still quick enough to claim second overall.
Now, I don't have the pressure in the turbo, so when you have long straight turn, where you need the speed. I'm losing a lot of speed, so my times are very low.
After the first 70 kilometers of competitive motoring, Jamie White had opened up a lead of 2.5 minutes over Giancarlo Davite. Ronald Sibuguzi was in third, but the times behind were still too close to call. Although the cars passed through the town 6 times during the day, it did not interfere with the local way of life. It was also here that the service park was located, on the town's football pitch. And as the cars came and went throughout the day, it was a busy and frantic place to be. The rally still belonged to Jamie White and Phil Arconol. With so much time in hand, they were not taking any risks, having settled into a pace, were flowing through the sections, even setting the fastest time on 3 of the 6 stages, increasing their lead by another 80 seconds. Giancarlo, Davite and Sylvia Wintervogel's only chance of winning the ARC category would now be if Jamie White faltered. They recovered 28 seconds when they were fastest through stage 10, but unbeknown to them, they damaged the rear end in the process. This became evident on the last stage of the day when suddenly they had no control and spun wildly into the bank.
I came in the turn there. The car slipped outside and then lift up. When it fell down, we lost the rear wheel left.
Their rally was over, but they would continue the following day under the Super Rally rules. With the rally at the halfway point, Jamie White had a commanding lead of nearly 4 minutes. Sebuguzi and Wakataka were only separated by 3 seconds in second and third, with the others all well separated over 10 minutes behind. Once again, it was an early start, and with the cars having been receded into their overall positions, it was Jamie White and Phil Arcono who would be leading the field. As they left the first control of the day, they knew that a sensible but quick drive was all that was needed to secure the win. The final leg of the rally would only cover 71 kilometers of competitive motoring. All but one of the stages were repeats of leg 1. The new section was stage 20, which was not only the longest stage of the rally, but also a real sting in the tail. With 6 stages remaining, Jamie White and Phil Arcono knew the rally was far from over, but with the ARC their only goal, winning overall would be a bonus. They were no longer attacking in favor of just maintaining their leading margin. But even at this pace, they were still fastest through 2 of the next 4 stages, giving away only 7 seconds. After a long night repairing their car, Giancarlo, Davite and Sylvia Wintervogel were once again on the move. They were out of the ARC race, but if they finished, the bonus points gained would be a valuable addition. Both they and the car were on top form, and they were storming through the stages, not putting a wheel out of place.
My mechanics works up to 5 in the morning. Let's finish the last 2 stages, hopefully, and we'll score the 5 points of the bonus leg today.
With only 2 stages remaining, the leaderboard was beginning to look final, and Jamie White's lead of just short of 4 minutes would be impossible to catch. Focus was now on who would come second, between Wakataka and Sebuguzi. Giancarlo, Davite and Sylvia Wintervogel had nothing to lose and left the battle for the honors to just unfold around them. They were no longer on the leaderboard and just put the stage miles behind them. They finished and gained the 5 ARC bonus points they wanted. Jamie White and Phil Arcono had held the rally lead from stage 3 and had been gauging their pace ever since. They even backed off over the final 2 stages, giving away a minute, knowing they had plenty of time in hand. This was their second win in the KCB Pearl of Africa Uganda Rally, adding to their victory in 2008. Jamie White and Phil Arcono climbed the ramp. It was like a dream come true. They had already won the 2 opening ARC rounds in Tanzania and Kenya and were now the winners of the 2010 KCB Pearl of Africa Uganda Rally. The champagne spray signaled the end of a hard, dramatic but memorable 3-day event. 11 cars eventually made it through the grueling 20 stages of the rally, with Jamie White winning by just under 3 minutes from Ronald Sebuguzi. The pair had opened up a 20-minute margin over their nearest rivals, with the last car finishing well over an hour behind. Jamie White has now scored maximum points in each of the 3 rounds of the ARC and will be difficult to beat. The next round will be on home soil for Davite and Fetidis, the KCB Rwanda Mountain Gorilla Rally. Jamie White is also at the head of the 2010 KCB East African Rally Challenge, having been the only driver to finish in the 2 opening rounds.